Wait, are we supposed to go right now?
Welcome. We're on.
Oh,
Great.
We can just do, but the whole idea of the show is for us to like feel like we're just chatting and then we're not being filmed and put on a stream.
I didn't even know we had a camera on us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Keeping Up with the Targaryens, episode 4. This is our House of Dragons recap show where we talk all things Hot D, which is a term Bcomp coined, and we are sticking to it. 4th episode just landed. We are joined today by a special guest, Stephen Czerwinski, who not only works here at G4, but you actually used to work at Nerdist producing and writing for their Game of Thrones after show called All Kings Considered.
Yes, indeed. I'm happy to be here.
We went way back with that show.
Yeah, and you worked on that.
Yeah,
show
both
as well.
Stephen and I were on that show. I think they're still doing it though, so good
They
for them.
are. They are. Yeah.
We wish them all the luck with that show.
We were tempted to call this show All Queens Considered, but then I figured they would have gone after us.
I told them it was a hat on a hat.
It's too much.
One
Too mu-
step
too
too
far?
far on
Yeah.
the pun.
Yeah.
It doesn't track.
But Stephen did come up with if we decide to do a Lord of the Rings show, All Rings Considered.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
That one's just one.
We have to find a way to shoehorn that title in. Thanks for joining us, guys. By the way, if you're watching this and you're keeping up with us every week and you want to interact and maybe send us your speculation, your thoughts on the episode, !Q. We'll send a comment right over to producer Lena, who's here as well behind the monitors.
Send us a raven with all the info.
Send us a raven. The raven will eventually make its way into my MacBook, and we will read it on a Google Doc. Guys, episode 4, like I said, King of the Narrow Sea is the title.
Yes.
Just aired. Let's get our general thoughts. Steven, let's start with you.
Honestly, and I'm not saying this for a hot take, I think this is the first episode that I truly, truly enjoyed as like just the episode on its own instead of me just being like, I'm on board for the property and I'm hoping to enjoy it. This is the first one that I felt really, I had a lot of fun just watching on its own.
Oh, good. Like it's coming into its own. It's
coming into its own.
maturing a little bit.
Yeah, agreed.
Bcomp?
I also really enjoyed it. I've been on board for the series since the beginning. To be honest, it scratches that itch that I think I said we've been missing for a little bit, and I do feel it's following a little bit of the season 1 vibe, and even like I would see from a plot perspective, we're following a lot of the same beats we've seen with season 1. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm just gonna say this is a very horny episode.
Super horny, familial relations, which we'll get into, made for quite an uncomfortable moment at my house, and
not the episode to watch with your parents.
not the episode to watch with your young ones or your younglings.
No.
Let's get into it. And by the way, my overall thoughts are kind of echo both of yours. I really thought there wasn't like a whole bunch that happened, but the things that happened seem to be like we'll remember them for a while, and they'll impact the story moving forward. The episode opens with Rhaenyra holding court, so to speak, and trying to like sort of sift through a bunch of lords in an effort to find a suitor.
Yeah.
Her sort of magical marriage tour, I guess, as it were.
Yeah. Good for her.
Yeah, no, I like that scene. I like that there was little callbacks to some of the deep lore characters. You get a Dondarrion in there who's clearly too old for her. I believe the kid that follows is Samuel Blackwall. Is that correct, Stephen?
Isn't that our writer?
Yeah.
Which I did a little dig. I'm like, they set that kid up. That's the kid who like, hey, I'm right for you and I'll defend you and I'll love you. And she'll, yeah, you're too young, kid. And then someone heckles him.
Not just a heckle, by the way. I've been in my fair share of comedy clubs. If somebody used the language, was he a Bracken? This guy, or
Yes.
He was a Barrack, wasn't he?
No, he was a Bracken. I thought
Bracken,
it was
that's
a
right,
Baratheon at first, but I was.
they were in
getting
the
my facts.
Baratheon
First
castle.
time we've seen Storm's End, I believe, on camera.
Yeah,
Which was cool.
yeah.
Which that kid lights that dude up.
I mean, look, this guy, this Bracken's slinging some of the dirtiest language I've heard on screen to a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And good for him. Does this differ than what happens in the book?
So I did a little digging because I'm like, they set that up a little too much. They spent a little too much time on that, I guess you could argue.
In the book?
Well, no, in
Oh,
the
in the
scene.
show,
In this scene. So I was like, there's definitely a feel like there was something else going on, and there is a reference to that in the book. In the book, though, the kid loses. Like he duels the guy and loses, but here he wins, and it does. From what I understand, this will pay off down the line.
It seems like it was. Yeah, I feel like we haven't seen the last
of either one
of this young man.
Yeah.
The Blackwell.
Yeah.
They've got the blood of the first peoples running through.
Yes.
them. That's what I kept hearing.
Yes.
They're very proud
all the way
people.
back to the beginning. Yeah.
In the Game of Thrones proper, who was a Blackwell? Was there Blackwells in this?
There might have been. I don't recall.
Is this more of like something they're coloring in that we haven't really explored too much of?
I think so. I think the most prominent like descendants of the first men we saw in Game of Thrones were people from the north, usually.
Yeah.
And this is sort of a couple thousand miles south of that. So we were used to having the first men perspective be like the Starks. Really.
The wildlings maybe above that.
Yeah.
Well, good for him for laying some steel into that son of a bitch. It was a fun scene. She obviously, Rhaenyra, didn't really have any, she wasn't enjoying herself too much. She just thought it was more of like a dog and pony show.
Yeah, she kind of cuts it short right at that point, right?
Yeah.
Cuts it short.
Let's get some brunch.
Then she's on a boat.
She does have the line in there, which goes back to what you were saying, not the last we see of him. She does say, like, very pointedly, like, I could grow to like that guy. So,
Yeah,
I feel like an age jump version of him is going to definitely show up.
Yes, I feel like the age jumping is going to be a thing here with Lady Lena, especially coming up. And
who was the young lady in the first Game of Thrones? I think it was like it was Lady Mormont. Had some Lady Mormont energy.
Yes.
Had some Lady Mormont energy there.
That actress is in something.
Oh yeah, she is. She's in a new.
She's going to be in The Last of Us.
Yes. Oh, she's Ellie, right?
Yes. But she is in something else.
Yeah, she's in
that
another
just came
show.
out
It's
as well.
I think it's Amazon Prime or something.
But she will be Ellie as well.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so now they're on a boat. They're on their way back. And all of a sudden, boom! There's what's Daemon's dragon's name again?
Caraxes.
Caraxes. You see a big old Caraxes. Does like one of those like flyboy tricks that you do when you're in the Air Force.
Top Gun style.
Yeah.
Buzz the tower.
Yeah, you buzz the tower exactly, and they you get a little smile on Rhaenyra's face. Ooh, uncle's coming home, and this is sort of like in the episode, anyways. It's the first sort of like,
Yeah.
uncle's home.
Okay. All right.
We get back. There is I don't know what you would call it, but they've gathered everyone.
Yeah.
And Daemon comes in. He's got a haircut.
Fresh haircut.
And what's on his head?
It's got a driftwood throne or a crown.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a cheap-looking crown, huh? But it's about what it means, not so much what it's made out of, right?
Someone wearing a crown in the throne room.
Yeah, tell me about this
Kind of
scene.
shitty.
Yeah. Tell me what all this means. So he comes back and he's essentially, up until this point, Viserys and Daemon have been at odds.
Yes.
And so he's kind of come to, and we think maybe he's going to say something, scandalous, or he's going to inflame this sort of.
The King of the North, or the King of the Narrow Seas.
Yeah, but what happens?
Well, Stephen.
Well, again, true to his nature, he loves playing the line where he plays up the "Am I about to, rebel openly?" and then he tosses the crab feeder's weapon, says another one for the pile, essentially.
Yeah, which by the way, was not a sword.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that the throne could take non-swords.
Well, also, like, it's got to be symbolic at this point, right? Because they used dragon fire to make the throne initially, and there's no way one of those are fitting in there now.
A little baby dragon in there. Hey, we
That's
need to
more
weld
a
it.
problem than it's, yeah.
Got the little welder dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, very Flintstones-esque. Yeah.
I want that scene.
And so, there's a nice little sort of like forgiveness here that happens between Viserys and his brother.
Yeah.
Speaking of what you just said about Daemon, he does know how to play this game when he wants to.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he demonstrates an intelligence that I think is dangerous, and it's scary because he can kind of really maneuver. But then all of a sudden he'll wake up and like on the floor, kind of in a drunken stupor, and like you're like, well, how smart is this guy?
I think he enjoys the game too much. He's
Yeah.
playing the game and he's good at it, but he's enjoying it a little too much, which feels very Littlefinger-esque. Like when you enjoy the game too much, you're gonna make some mistakes down the
Tactical
line.
errors.
Right.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of the Joker. Like he's that agent of chaos. You know, he's like he likes to just come in. It's like, I know how to play this, but what if I did this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
stir the pot a little bit.
He does like to stir the pot. He does, and Matt Smith just really as an actor wears that face really well. That like, like
Good bear.
yeah.
I think the haircut helped a lot.
Oh yeah.
We got a beep beep. That means it's time for a quick commercial break. When we get back, more of the episode, your thoughts, our thoughts, everyone's thoughts. We'll be right back. We're back with Keeping Up with the Targaryens. This is our episode 4 recap. Guys, where we left off, we had just seen Daemon come in, make peace with his brother.
Yep.
Now they're sort of having and holding a little ceremony, a welcome back ceremony. Surprise, the king is drinking. This guy he likes to get liquored up.
Yep.
And now, you can start to see it on Alicent's face a little bit. She's like,
I'm not into this
seen a lot
that
of it.
much.
She's like, this guy, I don't think I'm attracted to him. And he kind of sucks.
He's got sores all over his body.
Yeah. There is a sweet moment here on a bench. Rhaenyra and Alicent look like they're kind of like waters under the bridge here with their relationship. Because what's happened up until this point? They
were BFF. Then
She's been fucking her father.
Yeah, and then
effing her father.
Didn't give her the heads up about that.
No.
That's been going on for 6 months apparently, behind her back. And then she's like, hey, by the way, I'm going to be your kind of stepmom.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And queen.
And queen. And then it's like, that obviously caused a rift. And we saw that in the last episode. She's like, hey, you need to show up at this thing. Am I ordered to do it? Yes. Okay, I'll go then.
Yeah.
And now it seems like they've kind of, like you just said, the water's under the bridge. Like, hey, we're both in a situation we don't like. It just sucks to be a woman in this world.
What I thought was interesting visually about that scene is, if I'm thinking of the correct one, I do believe Rhaenyra was the only one in the family, including Alicent, who wasn't wearing the Targaryen black and red.
Oh.
She was wearing like red and goldish or like pinkish. But
great call.
She was the only one not in.
Would that
Very
sort
stark
of
colors.
symbolize she's like an outcast or the black sheep, or what does that say?
I mean, I think she is feeling a little bit outside. Like she feels a little outranked. She constantly feels like if I say the wrong thing, someone's just going to replace me.
Right.
No matter what her dad says, I don't think she believes them.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be the recurring theme. Like almost every single episode, he's had to reaffirm, no, don't worry, you're getting the crown. Don't worry, you're getting the crown. Don't worry, you're getting the crown. And even when she goes out, we'll get into it, but when she heads out to King's Landing and is like she sees that the people, and we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, and before we do, a question from our Twitch chat from Citrix says, don't all men have the blood of the first men? And I don't have the answer to this. Stephen, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I can give a little bit of an answer. The first men were as the name implies, first humans in Westeros, in addition to the Children of the Forest, who we've seen in later Game of Thrones series. And then it's very similar to ancient England, where the Britons were there, and then a lot of other tribes came, like the Romans came, the various like Anglo-Saxons, the various peoples invading them from Europe came. So we have like the Andals, which Ser Jorah Mormont traces his lineage back to. We have the Rhaenyra, I believe, and a couple other tribes of just like various immigration waves from Essos and other parts of the world into Westeros. Yeah.
Well, great. That I can't fact check you there. It all sounded great.
It's sort of
I'll fact check and say it was correct.
It's sort of just like a big way of saying like we were here like a couple thousand years before anyone else was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I hope that answered your question, Cydrix. Producer Lady Lena asks, do you think Daemon with his haircut looks like Neil Patrick Harris? 100%,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I mean,
I can't unsee it.
it's
Can't unsee it. I just keep hearing, have you met Ted? Like, that's what I want to come out of his mouth when he starts talking.
yes.
It's sort of How I Met Your Father, How I Met Your Father and Uncle or something.
And Jared Pavo from Twitch says, did any of you get the House of Dragon Dracarys app for the virtual dragon? They have like this augmented reality dragon app.
Oh, I have to check that
I
out.
saw the ad after the episode, and I saw that the AR in Dracarys like glowed, and I
So smart.
thought that was
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah.
I got a little chuckle from that. I like, okay, this is clever. I get it.
Yes. Full disclosure, I've had a dragon since Comic-Con. Okay. Part of the Comic-Con House of the Dragon experience, they had this little activation outside. And there was, I mean, I talked to one family that waited 8 hours to get in and do this experience. We got to go because we were filming, and there's a little bit of it in our Comic-Con video.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really well done. There is a, I don't know what they're called, but the guys who like handle the dragons.
Oh, yeah, the
dragon handlers.
Genius. Absolutely. Yes. That's good writing. And so one of them like sort of takes you through the process of like picking out your egg, and you put it in like this thing. And then there's this whole ceremony. You take a picture on the Iron Throne, all while somebody's, telling you about like the lore and things like that. And then at the end, you scan a thing, and it makes you download this Dracarys app. And when Comic-Con was happening, the app wasn't officially released yet, but we got early access to it. Unfortunately, the internet there was
Garbage.
dog-s.
Yeah.
And
3G if you're lucky.
I had to come back the next day to ask one of the guys working. I'm like, hey, can I scan your thing so I finally downloaded the app. And so 24 hours later, I gave birth to this dragon. It's a really cool, it's augmented reality. So it uses your phone camera, and then like, if I was to use it right now, I'd have this dragon sitting on our little desk. And you have to feed it, and it grows, and you name it. I mean, there's this whole thing.
Like a Tamagotchi almost.
Yeah.
It's like a Tamagotchi. Every time I get the notification, like, your dragon's hungry, I kind of just ignore it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was dead, or if I just had the skull of it with a bunch of candles around right now. But it's actually kind of fun. I think it's free, and it is like a Tamagotchi if anyone that's, like, really into this stuff. There's some fun, like... what is it, Valerian language? What do they speak? The Targaryens?
High Valerian.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that, and like you give it commands.
Oh,
You get to speak into it, and you can say Dracarys, and it'll blow fire. So that was a little side tangent, but all related.
Yeah, it all
House of the
ties
Dragon.
together. Ties together.
Okay, so we are now to the point where the celebration's kind of over. Rhaenyra and Daemon have this little conversation outside where he's like, marriage is just a political thing.
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra's like, well, it's like a death sentence for women. Maybe for you guys, it's just a sort of, it's a label. And you guys get to do whatever you want. You can have as many bastards as you want.
Yep.
Unfortunately for us, we're the ones like popping out the kids, and it's more than just that for us. She goes up to her room, and she's got a little, like, bag.
Mm-hmm.
A little
A
bag.
little goodie bag.
Yeah, and by the way, Lord Criston didn't know that he was the one that looked over her part of the castle. That'll come into play here in a little bit.
A little bit.
She goes in. She finds that there's like I don't know. You could just call them peasants' clothes or just like
Commoner.
a commoner's clothing.
She makes a point to smell
like-
them.
She smells them.
Yeah,
and she's like, gross.
It's like the starting clothes your character has in an MMO. When
Yeah.
the starting rags.
Yeah. It's like +1 on your abilities.
It's a sneak.
It's a sneak. Yeah, the sneak. She has a nice big old beanie, and she finds a sort of like passageway, which it looked like she didn't understand or know that there was a passageway in her room before, or is it that she did know and she's never used it? Like,
I don't think she knew.
Yeah.
I don't know, Steven.
I don't think she knew. I think, like, just the fact that she was just like holding it up and like staring at the wall. Yeah.
The Marauders map,
yeah, in my head, this is how effed up in the brain I am. I thought she was gonna like look at the map, turn around, and there was gonna be Daemon like legs akimbo laying out on the bed. I thought
Just skips.
they were
15
just gonna
minutes of
skip
show.
all that and just
Yeah.
get into a 17-minute hardcore sex.
You mean?
So yeah, she finds, and the best part of castles are the secret passages,
Yes.
by the way. So she finds a secret passage. She goes down. She walks past the skull of Viserys' long dead dragon, and she meets up with Daemon, who's also dressed up in the commoner's outfit. They both have hats on, and as far as I know, they're the only ones that have that bleach blonde hair, right?
Yes.
So if anyone catches them and sees that hair, it's like, boom, you're part
Identified,
of the, yeah. Quite an identifier, by the way.
Yeah.
Now you walk down like Abbot Kinney in Venice, it's every other
Yeah, it's
woman.
every guy, yeah.
Well, look at all these Targaryens. And so they do this sort of like, I don't know, like just walking around and seeing what like the vibes are. They watch a little play.
It's very similar to when Arya Stark, I think in the first season, she gets out of King's Landing and starts just touring the town.
when
And
she sees the play, in
she
the
sees the same
season.
play.
Yeah.
She sees a similar play, but it's
Yeah.
like it very much mirrors that plot point, like in
Yeah.
the first season.
It's all men that are in the play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just like
very
how it used to be.
Shakespeare-y.
I like how I'd like to get back to.
I did like the trombone fart sound.
Yeah.
Felt that was some good Foley work.
Guys, if you're watching this and you know, this is all how it really used to happen, right? Like, this is if I can go on a side tangent for why art is important, this is exactly why we need art. It's the voice of the people, because if you go down and you're sitting in your tower literally all day and you have no idea what your people think of you, you're in your bubble, what do the people think? That's the best way to go down and find out is what people are doing in these little pop-up theaters, and they are brazenly talking shit about the royal family out in the streets, and everyone's like cheering and like applauding, and art is there to give the voice to the voiceless.
As I say, it's very similar to. For some reason, two things pop. Was it King Lear? Is that what happens in King Lear, where he goes among the men and to find out what they're actually thinking? Actual Shakespeare.
Some actual Bill Shakespeare.
Yeah, I think so. But then there's also like something that reminds me of when Joffrey found out that one musician was like talking shit, and then had his
Yeah.
hook removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the only way to get news as well. It's like infotainment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the original Fox News,
Well, here's an interesting. Jesus Christ. I was gonna say,
which is my brand of news.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me also of kind of like, not to get too political, but kind of what's going on with Putin in Ukraine. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna take Ukraine like that, and well, that did not happen.
Right.
But what I was gonna say is, it's interesting though. In Game of Thrones, which takes place about 200 years later, we do see women doing
Yes.
plays and acting. So obviously, there's been some progress that has happened in the 200 years. And
Yeah, some might call that progress.
you might
Some.
take whatever we can get.
Yeah, we get spicy here. Okay, so all of a sudden now they're walking through. They leave this sort of like little show, and then they go into a. I want to just call it
It's a pleasure house. It's a pleasure
horror
house.
house.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
a pleasure house is a better word for it. You're walking in. There's a lot of scenes of rubbies and
Some full male nudity.
you've got. Is this first dong that's
think
been
this-
hung in this show?
For this show, yes, I believe it's
For
the
this
first.
show, yes.
I think it's the first full. They went full dong.
Congrats to that actor.
Yeah.
I mean, congrats to that actor. Okay.
Dude hangs dong.
He hangs dong on hung of the dragon.
Speaking of hang, this is totally off topic, but it does remind me. We didn't talk about this on Fresh Ink, but nice. The Dangs Dong obviously goes from to Sunday in Philadelphia. There's a good mention of browning out in that last episode.
Oh yeah, what's browning out again?
That's where you kind of black out, but not enough. But you do remember things. But they made a big deal of it in Sunday in Philadelphia. It's like, yeah, I browned out. I'm going to use that word a lot. Yeah, we all browned out, so let's not use it too much. It's like, no, we're going to use it. We're going to use it a lot now.
So are they browning out here in this?
Yeah, probably.
It seems like they have sort of full jurisdiction over their bodies and their decisions, but they're just a little looser. They're giving into some carnal desires. So they're walking through. There's a lot of scenes of guy on girl, guy on guy, girl on girl. It's just like browsing all the categories at Pornhub. And here we are now. They've found a wall, and there's how do I put this lightly?
I don't think you can. You just got to say it.
We just have to say that there is some incest, some very not it didn't go all the way.
No,
didn't seem like, but there was some kisses.
Yeah, there were some kisses between
Some
uncle and niece.
Uncle and niece.
Which
Oh, hold on! You're so judgmental, Lady Lena.
It's a different
it's not
culture.
for me, okay? I don't understand
2
this
points
kind
to
of
that.
stuff.
Number one, it was offered that she should marry her half brother at some point.
Yes,
That was crazy. But then also, I mean, it also is. That's what Daenerys and Jon Snow were, right? I mean, he was.
Yeah. This is
So,
not the first.
I don't know what you're complaining about, Lena. It's totally normal in this world.
I don't know why this time around I'm more disgusted.
I don't know. It's
I don't
because
know
maybe
what's
it's the
going
hair
on with
color. At
me.
least
maybe that.
Also, Matt Smith, I mean, has this sort of predatory look that he does.
Yeah.
Well, and even in the episode, in the behind the scenes afterwards, the director talks about that a little bit. How he was all into it until she was. When she gets into it, that's when he's just like,
Yeah.
He's just like, oh,
He's not into it. He doesn't want a consensual partner.
No, he doesn't. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. And by the way, I think we could see this coming. I knew that something was going to happen if we rewind and go back to the sort of celebratory garden thing where he was like, boy, have you matured, young lady. If your uncle, by the way, if you're watching this, you have an uncle that's ever said or commented and used the word, my, have you matured?
Run.
Run the other way. Tell your mom or dad, or just leave the family altogether. You might be better off. So there is a sort of steamy little scene here. Mm-hmm. There is a, okay. What a cliffhanger.
Let's end on that note.
What a dong hanger we're leaving on.
I was a cliffhanger for her as well.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. We are edging you, and we will be right back after this. We're going to talk more about this scene on Keeping Up with the Targaryens. Stick around. Welcome back. Keeping Up with the Targaryens. I'm Kassem. This is Stephen. That's Bcomp. Twitch chat. questions from Wolfdog410 asks, is Daemon the real apex pervert? Thank you, Wolfdog. This is a reference to Vanessa calling me an apex pervert during one of our streams.
Yeah, I remember that.
I tried to shake off the name. It doesn't seem like it's going away.
Doesn't just come off.
So that's something that'll carry with me forever.
Yeah.
And I wear it with a badge of honor, by the way.
What else are you supposed to do?
What else are you supposed to do? Okay, so here we are, right? We're back. We left you guys arms up on this wall, cornering you like Daemon did to his young niece. What's going on here? Now, there is some chat and thoughts around it being, is this what we would call assault? Lena, do we count this as assault? Does it feel like it is at first and maybe she comes around on it? What are your thoughts on this?
It's tough because it's a different world, different lore, different relationship parameters. As we've already discussed, the Targaryens are known to dip into the family gene pool with
Just dip a toe.
sexual relations and romantic relations.
Yes.
My issue with it is she's still 17. Obviously, I don't know what the age of consent
She's 22.
is
I
here.
think she's 22 in real
Is
life.
she? Okay.
Or the character, not the character.
I'm talking about the character.
Yeah, okay.
She's 17. And just knowing that, like, he's seen her as a baby. He's, probably babysat her a few times.
Change some diapers.
There's some grooming involved. Like,
Yeah.
she kisses back, right? She puts her hand on his neck. Like, there is some desire there.
Yeah.
But again, she's 17 and he's probably been grooming her or been flirty with her whole
Yeah.
life. So that feels really gross to me.
Absolutely.
And no, thank you.
Yeah.
No,
He
thank
gave her that necklace.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
you see that in the first episode when it
Yeah.
was like 4 years ago. Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable.
But there, as strange as all this is and wrong, you can see that he does care about her. I think that's the part of how Matt Smith plays this character. Kind of nuance is like he's a creep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's disgusting.
Yep.
But when we saw it on the bridge, and we kind of see there are moments here where he knows he's going too far and he pulls back. And that's kind of what happens here. Once Rhaenyra starts to bite back and starts to get into it, he literally leaves her with her pants down and exits. Now, when they entered, he pulled the beanie off, right?
Yes.
I believe so, yes.
What are we to think here? Is this part of an elaborate sort of setup? Does he want to tarnish her reputation? Is this part of a bigger scheme? This is kind of questions I had coming into this show today.
That's a good
I
question.
think.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think there's a sort of two-layer part to it where, on one hand, I think it does play into a scheme. I think he knew this is a place to be spotted, and I think on the other hand, he legitimately does feel like this is a place to be ourselves, and this is, for a lack of a better term, part of our family history.
Yeah,
And
he's a traditionalist.
He feels he's being true to himself by doing that, and doesn't feel the need to hide. But also, he knows at the end of the day, if words get back to the king, he has his prepared statement later.
Right.
Yeah, because he gets spotted by that knight they both get spotted by the knight
Yes.
when they're running through, and
Yeah.
then not Littlefinger, but Otto Hightower's like little bird instantly catches them as
Yeah.
soon as they're leaving.
Which I believe was who sold him out, Massaria, Daemon's pal in the white dress.
This is what I want
believe.
clarification on.
Yeah.
Mysaria seems to now have like I don't know. She seems to have like a network of people and eyes and things, and it's assumed that Daemon went back to her that night, and so is that the little narc that was waiting outside the pleasure house? Is he a part of Mysaria's network, or is he part of Hightower's network?
I assumed it was Hightower's, but that was me.
I feel like it's a little Hightower reaching out to her network, possibly.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. That
He
could
knows
make
that's
sense.
a resource.
It's a resource.
Yeah,
that
he
I can
knows
pull
that's a
from.
resource.
Wow. Okay, so she's darting out of there. She has to sneak back in, but she can't just take the same route that she took out for some reason. She's got to come in through the front door. And who's there?
Sir Criston.
Sir Criston.
Which he's like, how? I didn't go to the bathroom or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Where did you come from?
He's confused. And once he's like, well, I guess I should report that you were gone, she opens the door. She's like really feeling herself at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, and then she proceeds to invite him in, and then what happens?
Well, they bong.
She's kind of letting out all the frustration that she's built up that night.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also like the what Daemon tells her about like
Pleasure.
It can be for pleasure and not just for
Passing on the line.
reasons, and she kind of took that lesson to heart.
Which is true. This is a true fact given by this absolute perfect.
Well, it's interesting because Criston, I believe they swear an oath of fidelity, if not fidelity, but
chastity.
Chastity, excuse
Yes.
me. And it's like I guess he's literally like, if you don't sleep with me, I'll probably have you killed. But if I sleep with you, I'll probably have you killed.
Right.
He's just also wearing so much armor where I've made bad choices in my life, but if I had enough time to take off that much armor, I probably would think it through.
Right.
And probably be like,
It would also be so loud. You know when your when your mom's making dinner and she's clanging around those pots and pans, like, trying to find the right one, and she's like clank, 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 clank. Oh, mom's making dinner.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would think is gonna be like.
down the hallway.
Yeah, she's like just undoing his shoulder armor for like 40 minutes.
Imagine the stones aren't very sound dampening. You know what I mean?
Not at all. Not at all. They're very. It's a porous rock, and so there's a real fun sex scene here. I think they treated this with a sort of like a little more respect.
Yeah.
She really wants it. He really wants it. They took like a good 5 minutes of the show to do some slow-mo here and some nice shots, some nice lighting.
They kind of teased it a little bit, like this was going to happen with the last episode. And they had a nice little campfire, and then the boar attacked them and all that.
Oh yeah, that's classic. The kind of novels I read.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is this her first
Yes.
go around?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
So now her chastity's broken.
Yep.
And, it seems like this is going to be an issue for her because now word has traveled from this little narc all the way to Otto Hightower. Hightower's now got to make the tough decision of trying to go to his buddy.
Decision.
Such a hard.
So hard to tell you. About
I
this.
thought about maybe
So
not even
torn.
telling you, but here I am, the burden of being your hand.
He's just such a good friend,
Yeah, absolutely. You want somebody like this on your
Such
team.
a good son-in-law, also.
Oh,
or
yeah.
no, I don't know
he's,
how that works.
Yeah, he's
how does that work?
brother, half
No, father-in-law.
father.
Okay.
There's no way we're gonna figure it out.
We're not going to.
Either way, somebody's gonna have sex with somebody that they're related to. Now, so Otto Hightower's got a tough decision. He's gonna tell the king that his daughter Rhaenyra was spotted at the pleasure house with his brother, her uncle, Daemon. Oh, Lena, I hear
I'm
you,
having
Lena.
so much trouble
Please.
with this.
Please, you gotta. I want you to use
Chime
the
in.
show
I
as a
gotta
place.
get over it.
You've
right?
got to get
I
over
just
it.
gotta move past this. It's gonna happen more and more.
We are.
Oh, yeah.
We are normalizing
Yeah.
incest. We're doing our part. And the king doesn't take this news well. What happens here?
Well, he goes and he first confronts Daemon about it, doesn't he?
Well, he does confront Daemon about it, but I think what's Lady Alicent overhears.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And
She-
she decides to go find out because she's had enough. It sounds like.
So from what I recall, she goes, confronts Rhaenyra about it. Rhaenyra's like, I swear on my mom's grave, I did not have sex with that man, Monica Lewinsky.
That's right, and we believe her, right?
Yes.
They didn't have sex,
Yeah.
but she did. She didn't exactly tell the whole truth.
No.
She made it seem like, sure, they were out partying together, but that was it.
Yeah, we had some wine.
I did like her series of lies where it went from like I didn't do anything to like maybe I went out to like
Right.
okay like it did
Yeah.
get a little crazy but nothing happened.
We just browned out.
Yeah, just bring it down a little
I
bit.
did write a note last night that I like her. She lies well.
She does lie well. She even does that thing where you're like, you can't talk to me like this. I'm the princess.
Yeah.
How dare you question my virtue? Which is always like them grasping at the
It's
last
treason.
Yeah, this is the
straw.
last. Yeah, this is treason. Yeah, she throws the treason.
This is treason.
It's like, whoa.
Is it treason for the queen to say something to a princess? I feel like no.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like probably not.
So she denies. Not just a river in Egypt. Now it turns out there's a fun scene there with the king and Rhaenyra where he's got to confront her.
Yes.
And there's a couple parts to this scene because he's please.
Well, I was gonna say right before that he does confront Daemon, and Daemon's like, "Yeah, we totally did it. Totally did it." Like just basically just lies about it. Says
honest.
Well, he's like, "Yeah,
well, we went all the way.
Yeah,
He would have said it either way.
Yeah, he says we went all the way, and then he's like, "So yeah, she's no good anymore because she's had sex. So just marry her to me, man. That's cool. No big deal."
Yeah.
Which shitty, but
That's the second dude in the row going to Viserys and saying like, well, like you got to make the choice that puts me closer to the throne. Like the second dude in the row.
Yeah, exactly. Can I ask you this question? Would a Daemon Rhaenyra team up be good or bad for the kingdom? Wow. I just watched both of you inhale, take a big inhale. Let me rephrase this question. Does incest help this family? Because that's the same question I just asked.
God damn it. God damn.
I think considering it's one of the few families that made it out of Valyria before its fall, the evidence points to yes.
Yeah, I think it does. I'm sorry, Brian.
Lena,
you're going to have to say it. Brian, I want to hear you say yes.
Lena, what's your thoughts?
Sorry, I have to go barf for a second. No.
It created a dynasty.
I think it would be bad. You know what? I was thinking about that, and I'm concerned about it mostly for Rhaenyra's sake. I just think Daemon would completely like bulldoze any plans that she has to like actually lead. So I'm concerned about that partnership.
I think she would end up dead
Yeah.
somehow.
I'll say no.
Yeah.
It's not good. I'll just
That's a good answer. As a father,
yeah. Yes.
a husband. I was going to start doing the whole gladiator spiel there. Father to a murdered wife. What is it? Husband to a murdered niece. And so, okay, all of a sudden there is a Viserys and Rhaenyra moment here where he's got the dagger. Not just any dagger. This is the dagger that we know from the end of Game of Thrones. That
prophecy on it.
yeah, it's got the prophecy. He's got it over fire, which I don't think is good for steel.
The plot dagger.
I believe but because it's Valerian steel, it's
a special steel.
yeah, it's right.
And it's got the prophecy written on it. What's the prophecy say?
Oh, it's well, Stephen. This is like
The
it's,
prince that was promised.
The prince of the promise, like whoever the from the blood of Aegon, essentially will bring the song of fire and ice. Basically Jon Snow.
So he's essentially telling her, look, whatever is going on with you, our family in this realm is bigger than.
Well, it's even bigger than the crown, or even bigger than the throne. He's like, this is a bigger thing than just the kingdom itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he's like, we answer to a higher call, basically.
Which is like a really interesting reframing of their family like conquering and taking over a whole continent. It was like, well, we're doing it because down the line we're gonna save it all. Like,
Right.
it's such an interesting like way to buy your own BS in a way of like,
Yeah.
I'm starting this war for a good reason.
Totally. Lots of people and religions do that today. And now you've got a sort of pushback from Rhaenyra that's like, well, okay, because he says you got to marry Lord, what's his face?
The Sneak Snake's son.
Corlys's son,
Laner?
Laenor. Honestly, I will never get the names of all. They're all the same name to me with just a couple letters moved around.
Yep.
And she's like,
A is
okay.
always before E.
Exactly, yeah. Except unless it's your brother. Like, I don't. And so he says, you got to go marry the guy with the sea snake, dragon.
Yep.
And it's going to be good for us. Because word had also come out that Corlys was going to marry off Lady Laena, not our producer, Lady Laena.
Nope.
But somebody else to another family.
The young daughter that Viserys did not marry.
Yes.
Yeah.
And doing so would probably put
Well, so yeah, they need that naval might. While they do have dragons, they still need the naval might that Lord Corlys brings to the table. And so that's the way that it's like, this is for the kingdom. You have to do this, basically.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, I can, but you got to do one thing for me. You've got to cut your hand out.
He's already missing 2 fingers.
He's already missing a couple fingers. You got to remove the whole thing. He's been, in regards to Otto Hightower, she's telling him he's been manipulating. He's been pulling your strings, Daddy-O. You got to do something about it.
Beep, beep.
And we'll get into what that is right after this commercial break.
Hey, you.
And we're back, keeping up with the Targaryens. Guys, before we left off, we were talking about Otto Hightower getting the boot, but I got a couple comments here I think we should address.
Well, before I go into
Yeah.
that, I was going to say I wanted to give a shout out to the New York Times, Jeremy
yes.
Agner,
Yep.
who actually said the line, Viserys began the episode down 2 fingers and by the end had lost a whole hand.
So good.
It's a good line.
It's a good line.
It's a good line.
He had another good line also in that where he said the hand overplayed himself.
That's true.
Good puns.
Ah.
Making that
Hey,
money.
Keep it up.
I'm Batman 5500 says, I'm convinced that the moves he made, he's talking about Daemon here, were 100% calculated for political gain and to make a move for the Iron Throne, not because he cares about her.
Okay.
Which I think is valid, very valid.
Yeah.
To a more interesting comment here, I think Jared Pavo asks, the podcast for the episode had the Sir Criston actor on. He said it takes 25 minutes to take the armor off.
And that's not, we were just saying, that's not real armor either. That's prop armor.
That's prop armor, supposedly. I don't know, but you've got to, I don't know how you stay in the mood for 25 minutes, but you want to make sure you light a thick candle, and you've got a playlist moving so you don't run out of music.
Bring in that bard to have him on repeat.
That's
you know?
right,
You know?
exactly. Which they have.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
I was going to say, the candle budget on this show must be enormous.
They have to have just a candle guy.
Yeah, candle man.
I would listen to a show about just a fictionalized show about the life and times of the Candleman. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the episode here. Otto Hightower loses it, and then all of a sudden we see Rhaenyra up in her tower, and she's delivered a special little potion. And I looked at my girlfriend when I was watching this. I'm like, because I didn't know, because I'm a man, I'm an idiot. I looked at her and I go, is that abortion tea?
Yeah, morning after tea, right?
And I'm like, do they make this? And apparently they do.
Yeah.
Lena, not asking you if you've ever drank it, but have you ever heard of this?
I have heard of this. I am aware that
Is
this
it an
a thing.
effective method of birth control?
I
or-
don't know, but I do know that, like, back in the day, there were different herbs and tinctures you could take to try to induce abortions.
Let's say I learned a lot of science on this show. Maggots, apparently.
Maggots, yeah.
Teas.
This is like one of those things like, where they used to give people tapeworms to lose weight.
Oof.
I just think there's probably a better way. There's got to be a
There's
better
got to be a better way.
There's got to be a better way. Okay, guys, what else did we leave out? Do we have any closing thoughts on the episode, where we think it's going? I know there's some speculation on what we can expect here.
We're about to hit episode 5, and we're still with the young characters at this
Yeah.
point. So I'm wondering how much longer we have. If we kind of go back to the first season of Game of Thrones, because when did Baratheon die? Robert Baratheon die? Was it on episode 6 or 7 or
6 or 7.
So I imagine if they're going to mirror the show, Viserys is not long for this world.
He looks like every episode he's got more and more sores on him.
So much worse.
He's falling apart.
I mean, I felt bad for Alicent in that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, where he's just going to town and it's just covered in marks.
Yeah, going to town is a generous way to put it. He was lumbering over her as his body tried to maintain staying together.
It's like, what is it, when you have that disease where your skin just falls off or whatever?
Yeah, lupus?
Lupus or whatever.
Leprosy.
Leprosy.
That's it.
Lupus? Is it lupus? That's what I think of Seinfeld. She is really doing her work as queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did see, and they fast forward to this, but she gave birth because the episode before she was pregnant. Now she has what looks like a young daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I say, they didn't jump the plot too far from the last episode
No.
because it comes on the heels of of Daemon taking out the Triarchy.
We're thinking a couple, 3, 4, 5 months.
Maybe. I mean,
think
because
a
she was.
year.
I
That was
was
maybe a year.
Maybe
a year. You
Okay.
think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he had to wipe out the rest of the Triarchy after that, right?
Yeah, I think just if you're taking the Game of Thrones didn't later on travel times into account and
Yeah, because he does say it's been 4
her
years.
tour. She
Yeah.
ended her tour 2 months early, so
I think he
That's
says it's
gotta
been
be a
4
long
years
tour.
since I've seen you, right? He says specifically it's been 4 years since I last saw you.
yeah.
And last episode was 3 years after the pilot. So yeah,
So a
about a
year.
year. So about a year,
Yeah.
right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Please do, chat.
Somebody out there has worked out the time.
Oh, I know
the
they have.
timeline, and it's not us.
day.
Do we have any other speculation on what to maybe expect next episode? Will we get a younger cast, or are we going to get aged up? Is that going to happen overnight? Is it going to happen in the middle of the episode where they do that time lapse thing when they get older?
That's a really interesting question because I have been sort of surprised at how each episode does kind of start like, remember 2 years ago when that thing that happened in the last episode happened. So I kind of don't know. I kind of am just hoping we do get to see more Daemon chilling in the Eyrie with his wife, his actual wife.
Who we haven't seen,
No.
right?
I don't think we have.
We have not seen, but he talks her up in a very bad way, and I can't wait to actually see
It
her.
reminds me of like, was it Maris? I think it was on what was the Kelsey Grammer show? Damn it, I forgot.
Frasier?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
they always like they would never ever actually show
Good.
show Maris.
Yeah. He already wants a second wife. Yeah, it's a good point. Okay, well, I'm so far I'm in. I think everything's been really great. I feel like something big is going to happen, and this is a person who's not read the books. I know there's some big Dragon Con, Dragon Fest, Dance of the Dragon. There's something's going to happen. I assume. I know that they get older.
Yeah.
But so far, I've really been digging everything, including the incest, and not that I'm a fan of that. I'm just saying it's been an interesting part of the story. Moving on.
I am Batman 5500 in chat said that he saw on IMDb that this next episode is young Rhaenyra's last episode, and Emma Darcy will start middle of next episode if the episode counted.
Okay, fair enough.
We might be seeing a switch up next ep.
Very interesting.
I like the comment underneath that. Not Plan B, but Plan T.
Yeah.
I love that.
Platonic games.
I absolutely love that. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up.
Sounds good.
Tune in for episode 5 next week, same time. If you guys are into Rings of Power, I started it. It's just a lot of fantasy lore to try and cram in right now.
Yeah.
But I do hear everyone's really liking it. And I watched the first episode. I thought it was really well done. Yeah. But I'm doing that thing where I'm on my laptop the whole time trying to figure out, like, okay, is that Agent Smith, Hugo Weaving as a young, like
Elrond?
Yeah. There's a lot of that
Red
I'm
Skull?
doing.
Wait, what is he?
Yeah, but are you watching and are you liking?
I am watching it. I am liking it. I have been avoiding reading too much online and just forming my own
Opinions.
theories. No, I mean I don't care about opinions. My own theories. I was a big Lord of the Rings fan. My first kiss was a midnight showing of the Two Towers. So
Wow.
I'm every episode I turn on, I'm like looking
I lost
around.
my virginity during The Hobbit.
Which one? Desolation.
The
of
Baskin
Smaug?
or
No, I rented it last week.
good joke. Good joke.
Thank you. Stephen, where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter at Stevia with 3 E's because 2 E's and 1 E were taken.
That's right out of Madison and She-Hulk's playbook right there.
Yeah.
Bcomp, what do we got coming up this week?
We've got Fresh Ink with She-Hulk episode 5, which now everyone is now in the blind on that. We also have obviously the big Zoo show. We've got some big guests coming in for that.
Physically big guests.
Physically big guests, and a lot of them. And then, of course, always there's the feedback with Fiona's show. That's great. You should check that out every day. And then I believe Full Screen Attack also has another episode dropping this week.
That's right. Super producer Vanessa's got Full Screen Attack.
Oh, and Vibe Check, of course.
And Vibe Check coming out tomorrow. Lady Lena's on the feedback every day. We got plenty of content for you guys to watch. We appreciate you tuning in. If you want to see more of this, leave it in the comments below. Everyone who needs to see it and green lights it will read it, and we will be back again. Guys, goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you next week.
Thank you.